I've always liked the idea of hardcore Minecraft, but actually playing it, I've never been able to last very long in the game. I've always died quite quickly into the world and never really made much progress or anything really too significant. There was one time that I made a pretty nice cave base, but I died almost immediately after when I tried to go into the nether. And I think that I've been playing hardcore wrong all of those times. There was a couple times where I just died like almost immediately before I really had a chance to do anything. But most of those deaths were because I tried to rush the progression of the game, and Minecraft isn't really a game that should be seen as having progression. I think netherite kind of ruins this, and enchantments to some degree as well. But the progression of Minecraft isn't there to be a goal for you to achieve. Minecraft is mostly about creating things and shaping the world to however you want it, and the progression is really only a tool to achieve that. So instead of worrying about getting the best armor and the best weapons, I should have been focused on making my world and only done those things when I needed to make more progress on the building, or if I need new items. This is how a lot of people played Minecraft in the past, but now everybody rushes to get to the Ender Dragon and to get to the Nether. I think to some extent this is kind of a fault of how the game has been updated. I think a lot of the updates have been great, even some of the more recent ones, but there's a few problems with the progression now, namely with netherite and with enchantments, like I said before. And I think villagers are a big part of this problem, because you go to a villager and you can trade items that are really tedious to farm for items that are normally very difficult to get, which is not a very well designed trade-off. Because first of all, you're removing like the excitement and the reward of actually like going to caves and structures and getting diamond gear, but also because you're making that the safest and like easiest way of doing it, most consistent at least. A player who actually wants to like get these things is going to take the easiest route, which is to just farm for 30 hours. But the gameplay loop of Minecraft, without allowing yourself to, use these really efficient ways of getting these upgrades, is actually incredibly addictive. You go mining and you can get resources that let you build tools that increase your efficiency significantly when you're shaping the world and making whatever it is that you want to do. And then eventually you'll run out of these things and you'll have to mine more in order to replenish your supplies. And it's a really rewarding and fun gameplay loop, which is kind of lost when you have, Unbreaking 3, mending netherite pickaxes and stuff. Which I think that should be like an option, kind of. But having one tool that you use forever should be like one available playstyle. It shouldn't be the best way of doing things. And I feel like Minecraft could be changed in ways that would help make that more like fair. I think the biggest problem there is that netherite is just too hard to make more of if your stuff does break, to the point where there's no reason ever to let that happen. Like, not only do you need to get all the enchantments again and the netherite itself, but getting more of the netherite upgrade templates requires either lots of diamonds or you have to go find more bastions, which is just terrible. Like, requiring diamonds to get more templates is the same thing as letting the players like get diamond gear with villagers. You're making the easiest way to do something really tedious when you could be making something fun that the player has to do and feel rewarded for doing. I do think that having the netherite be locked behind these bastions is a good idea. It's just not handled well in practice. I've survived just over 100 days on this world. I decided to make this for an enchanting room. It's sort of a Japanese temple build. It's mostly copying a design that I found on the internet, but I did change a lot of things. Namely, the block palette is totally different. I think the deep slate blocks are the same, but almost everything else I made a totally different color. And there's no reason, like, efficiency-wise, that I would have this here. Like, it's a lot farther away from my base than it needs to be. I could have put them right next to each other, but instead I decided to spread them out a lot more, and I kind of like that I've done this. It feels really like the world's a lot more fleshed out than if I had just done it the most efficient way and put my enchanting setup right at my home base. I just wish they made it easier to replenish your netherite gear when it does break, which, first of all, shouldn't require mining for 12 hours in the overworld to do. That's just really stupid and lazy design. I think, like, having piglin brutes drop, like, netherite scrap and netherite upgrade templates could help. I'm not so sure about the upgrade templates, though, because I don't want to, like, ruin, like, looting them from the chests. I guess that could still be, like, more guaranteed way of getting them if it was as a drop. It should be something that does involve going to the netherite, like, you shouldn't be able to farm netherite gear in the overworld. But you should be able to get netherite fast enough to the point where letting it break doesn't feel like wasting it. And one thing I think they could do to help a lot with these, like, infinitely using the same gear problem is removing the ability to stack unbreaking 3 and mending on a single tool. Because those two just make things really easy to last, like, forever. And I do want to reiterate that I don't think players using the same tools forever is necessarily a problem. The problem is just that, like, it feels like you have to do it that way. And old Minecraft gameplay didn't really have this problem. Even when they did have modding, people didn't really have it, at least early on, as far as I'm aware. But diamond armor and diamond gear doesn't feel like an upgrade to iron. It feels like a reward. You go mining, you know, take a risk, you explore, you do things, and your reward is diamonds that let you become significantly more powerful and do things significantly faster. But eventually those things will break, just like iron gear does. But the diamonds, you have to put in a lot more work to get that back. And being able to switch over fully is a big commitment that takes a lot of, time to be able to become that advanced in your world. And so, without mending and unbreaking 3 on everything, it becomes a lot more interesting with what you have to do with your resources. Like, do I spend my diamonds on armor, or do I save it and, keep my tools? And I think this problem of the different resources in Minecraft being a progression rather than all different resources and options has probably been one of the reasons that they've been so hesitant to add more types of armor and tools, because you don't need more if it's just a linear progression between different tiers. But if we had more sideways upgrades, but if we had more side grades, we could have a lot more options to play with, and they could all be sort of valuable and have different use cases or different playstyles that would enjoy using them. Like, imagine if there was like obsidian tools and they weren't very good. Like, they were like stone tier, but they had like insane durability. And obsidian is of course pretty easy to get outside of like the early game. So like you could play and you could have tools that basically never break. Especially with unbreaking or mending, like they would last months, if not years, for a lot of players. But like it would feel like you're making a trade-off. And there's a million other ways you could do this with any kind of item. But that can't really happen in current Minecraft, because why would I ever use something weaker than netherite when I can just get netherite, unbreaking, mending, prot 4. But I see a lot of people always talking about how Minecraft was better in the older days, or OG Minecraft was better. And while I have, presented some reasons why I sort of agree with that, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think Minecraft is just as good a game, if not better, now than it was before. It's certainly devolved in some ways, but I think in a lot of other ways it's better than it ever was. And I found a sort of way to get some of that old enjoyment back. A lot of people, they miss those old classic days, and they think it's over. And depending on what part of that experience you miss, you might not be able to get that back. And this is true of other things and not just Minecraft. A lot of people have this opinion about a lot of things, but you can often find some of that old satisfaction again if you just look at what patterns have actually changed, and change your own mindset going into it. And I'm someone who usually does like older things. In my opinion, a lot of the best games are from 10 to 20 years ago. Team Fortress 2, Terraria, Minecraft itself. And I'm into a lot of the originals of things more than I am the sequels. I think Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is the best Five Nights at Freddy's. think Scream 1 is the best Scream. But if you miss the old things about Minecraft and anything else, really, you can go back to how it was, at least partially. But I've discovered that I can play Minecraft like it's 2010. I can focus on building. I just have to play Minecraft like it's 2010. Lately, I've had this sort of urge to just create something, and haven't really found a good way to do that. I like the idea of making YouTube videos, but in practice, I find it really difficult to do. I can't really talk to a camera. This video is actually like a 30-minute play session that I've had to cut a bunch of stuff out of because I'll just run out of things to say and I have to think about it more. Like, I'm not someone who has this sort of entertainer personality where I can just, like, you know, sit down and record a video. I'm not good at that. Like, maybe once or twice a year I could do something okay. But, like, I don't have an entertaining YouTuber-like ability. And so I've just been, you know, sitting here figuratively trying to figure out just literally any kind of YouTube video that I could produce. And I actually didn't find that. I am technically making a YouTube video right now, but this was kind of a coincidence because I didn't set out to make this. I just thought, hey, this happened, I can capitalize on this, I guess. My original start in this hardcore world was just me trying to find something, anything to express my creativity through. And Minecraft, I've always loved the idea of these, like, long-term creative worlds, not in creative mode, but in survival. But I've just never been able to sit down and start a survival world because it's just not meaningful to me, I guess. I don't know, something about hardcore just makes it feel more special. Not necessarily for the fact that it can be lost, but for the fact that it isn't, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, anybody can just sit down and... Like, anybody can just build something in survival if they just wait a while, but to create something in hardcore, even if it's not particularly difficult to survive, you still have to survive. Not to mention, dying in single-player Minecraft isn't much better than dying in hardcore, in my opinion. It just always kills the game for me. Although, to be fair, I'm sure that wouldn't be as much of a problem if I had a world where I actually had, like, full infrastructure and stuff. But I've just never been able to have the patience to create that. But sitting down and playing like it's 2010 again has been a really nice experience for me, and I feel a lot better than when I started this. Now, of course, my house wouldn't have quite this much detail if I made it in 2010. Not that this is an impressive house or anything, it's still quite basic in the grand scheme, but I put more effort into it than I usually would with any kind of build. which is what I'm going to try to continue doing as I expand this world more. I've never been very good at artistic things, whether it's drawing or painting or building in Minecraft. I've always really struggled to make anything actually decent looking. But I don't want to give up on that. I want to keep trying and make more things with this world. So one thing that I'm realizing as I'm finishing this recording is that I forgot to mention a kind of important part of this whole experience that I've put myself through. I have completely banned myself from using villagers, not so much for a challenge, but just because I feel like they make the game unfun. Like I mentioned earlier, it's quite tedious to get things to trade with them, and they give you things that would otherwise be fun to try to get on your own. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should do this. Like, if you genuinely only enjoy the game when you have mending, prop 4, etc., please feel free to do that. But I found that it just ruins the experience for me, and I like Minecraft a lot better when it really takes time to earn these upgrades, and I don't just skip to the end. Maybe that's not a good way of putting it, because that makes it sound like it's sort of cheating. Like I said, I don't want to imply that that's how it is, because Minecraft is a game that can be played any way you like. And that doesn't just apply to Minecraft. My point is, you can do whatever you want in Minecraft and in life, and not even the lizard people can stop you, even by controlling the thoughts of your loved ones to turn them against you. You can do whatever you find enjoyment in, and whatever makes you feel fulfilled. That's about it. See ya. Wait, I can't do an outro. The outro is the other part, because this is post-recording. See, this is... I'm an idiot. This is why you don't listen to me.